In one Boston outing, I experienced the very best of the movie theater and the absolute worst. But before I tell you about how a guy we'll call Buzzkill Lightyear made my experience at the Toy Story re-release unbearable, be sure to give this video a like. Comment what you think about all this, how often you like to go see movies at the theater. Subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link is in the description below. So yeah, as I posted on wherever I posted, last Saturday was my first official Saturday movie outing under the new charter, which I'm going to throw up here so that you can read for yourself. Basically, I now have AMC A-List, and I will be going out to Boston for my Saturday movie at the AMC. First show of the day at whichever of the three in the city I decide I want to go to. Maybe I'll decide I can go to Causeway because what I want to see isn't playing in IMAX. Maybe the other two are closed for whatever reason and I have to take an Uber to South Bay. So be it. Whichever one I go to, I am going to get my Saturday movie fix. Or, if all three are closed for some reason, or I'm ill, or the weather's bad, I will just stay or go home and I will watch my movie at home. Not the same one, but a movie at home. I'm going to let streaming originals pile up so that I have a queue that I can pull from. Or, worst case scenario, pay $6 to rent something I missed that was released within the last year. But I digress. So, before I went to AMC this time, I decided to use the extra time to explore the Prudential Center in Copley Place because I wanted to see what those places were like and I wanted to test a new location with Project Signal Shift. It worked out pretty well, and I was able to go to the supermarket there to pick up some store brand tissues because I've been having a runny nose recently. It's probably just the changing of the seasons or whatever. But either way, I decided it was time to finally get some tissues to add to my pocket collection. It's like one of those you can open and close little stacks. I only wanted to buy one, but they only came in packs of 8. So I bought that and a bottle of water because I still have not been able to bring myself to take my empty water bottle with me. Even though at both my movies, I saw plenty of people literally walking around with their reusable water bottles past where outside food and drink were said to be prohibited. Am am I the only one? I feel like I'm the only one who actually follows rules, whether it's with crossing signals or the outside food and beverage thing about movie theaters. But yeah, I had to lug around 7 extra packs in my hoodie's pocket so I could bring them home, and it was manageable. I stopped at the Goodwill Hunting bench at the Boston Public Garden, and I got to be part of 2 different groups recreating the Robin Williams Matt Damon scene. I basically played Robin Williams twice in those few minutes, sitting there while 2 different parties took turns as Matt Damon. So, if Boston ever needs an official Goodwill Hunting bench guy, I'll sign up tomorrow. But somehow, I doubt Parks and Rec gives out those permits. And I'm pretty sure there's probably licensing they have to deal with the studio, so there's that. And also, Robin Williams was able to make sure that his likeness isn't used with AI or anything for a long period of time. I think 2038, don't quote me on that. But anyway, after that, I decided to make my way to the theater and go in for my first A-list movie. It was a smooth experience, and the audience was great. Honestly, the way that everyone was reacting instinctively to the movie The Long Walk perfectly demonstrates Albert R. Ruddy's shared experience scene from The Offer. For those of you who haven't seen it, basically after a screening of Planet of the Apes, he tells, I think it was his girlfriend, about the shared experience of seeing a movie on the big screen with several hundred people, or however many were in there. Overall, I think my theater was about half full. It was a lot more crowded than some of the Tuesdays that I went earlier this year. But yeah, it was a great time. The theater, and it proves that Jester Bell, who I like to watch because I think she has great commentary about movies and TV, proves her point that theaters really can elevate good movies, which is why a lot of these older movies are being re-released, like the one I went to see after The Long Walk, Toy Story, because its 30th anniversary re-release was this past weekend. Oh, before I get to that, I just want to also say I got to partake in a survey from the studio about The Long Walk. Like, this guy from the studio had a stack of tablets, and he was literally asking people who are coming out of the theater I was in to take a survey. I decided to do it because they never did this at where I usually went for movies at either of the locations from the other chain. But yeah, after writing up the review and publishing it in the park, I went back for my late afternoon showing of Toy Story, which I honestly kind of regret. See, I went in accepting there might be disruptive children, just like I talked about in my video about how I stopped going to see family movies or animated movies like that at the theater, because I know that it's inherently part of the deal when they are the primary target audience, but they were not the problem, mostly because there were like maybe 5 children in a half sold out auditorium, a lot of it being adults, because this is Toy Story. We're talking about a movie that came out 30 years ago now. So obviously, this was a move by Disney to pander to nostalgic adults, whether they have kids or not. And of course, Disney adults. And I also want to say, it wasn't a Disney adult who made it hell. It was just the guy we referred to as Buzzkill Lightyear. So, this guy was sitting in front of me, like the next row over. The movie started innocently enough, and I felt great joy seeing it, but slowly that joy evaporated as he proclaimed to someone a couple rows in front of him to lower their phones. And it happened twice. I mean, I get it. I don't like people taking their phones out during movies, but at a certain point, you have to accept you can only control yourself, and usually they put it away quickly. But yeah, on top of Buzzkill Lightyear was this couple in the row behind me who were chattering throughout the movie. That really happened. I kind of wanted to get up and leave because of it, but I wanted to see it through. I kind of regret it because Buzzkill Lightyear called out to them twice, and they still kept chattering. Like, they were treating it like it was their living room, and they were watching this movie on Disney Plus instead of in a theater they probably paid who knows how much money for, because I have AMC A-list. But if you want to chit chat away during a movie in the privacy of your own home, I can't stop you from doing that, even though I think it's a waste of whatever resources you had to spend to be able to watch that movie in the first place. And it's disrespectful to the people who worked on it, in my opinion. I say that because back in film studies class, we sat through the credits out of respect for the people who worked on it. I guess it kind of stuck. That, and I want to make sure I never miss a post-credit scene. Although with Toy Story, yeah, I knew not to expect that. Anyway, the irony of Buzzkill Lightyear is that he was disrupting the movie while asking others not to disrupt it. He was kind of being a hypocrite. I'm just gonna say it. Like the chatterboxes behind me, yeah, they were a bit obnoxious, but again, I had gone in assuming there would be at least one disruptive child somewhere in the auditorium. Okay, but you wanna know what really bothered me? The problem wasn't really Buzzkill Lightyear calling out the bad theater etiquette. I'm gonna be honest, I was just more scared that things would escalate, that it would spiral out of control, whether Buzzkill Lightyear would get up in the face of whoever was checking their phone or chattering away, like it was the Jerry Springer show. See, I didn't mention this in my video about testing AMC as a third place, but when I got home from seeing F1 in IMAX, I found a news story about how the exact location I went to had an altercation where a man was beaten up by a group of teens for asking them to quiet down during a movie. This was a really late night showing of the movie Weapons. This had occurred 3 days before I went to see F1. I only found out about it after I had gotten home. Yeah, the local NBC affiliate did a whole package about it. And that's how you know it's a big deal, because I'm going to go into some of my experience as a student of the TV concentration for a moment. Broadcast stations only have finite minutes. They have to cut stories all the time. So if something makes it to air, you know it's serious. You know it matters. It's something the public needs to know about. When I went on a field trip to watch a TV station do its thing, they killed a story mid-broadcast when something more urgent broke. So yeah, that's how I knew that the risk of escalation like that was real. Unfortunately, people get into fights like that sometimes. That's actually why I decided to go to the early shows. So in my case, the official Saturday movie is probably going to be between 10:30 a.m. and like 2 p.m., depending on what time the first show of the movie of interest starts at. This way, I can be home before dark or before it gets too late at night. And also, if something like what happened with that news story I just told you about, or if there had been actual escalation between two other people and the entire experience was ruined, like it kind of was for Toy Story for the re release. Anyway, getting back on track, on top of Buzzkill Lightyear basically trying to control everyone around him, the chatterboxes kept going, and then at one point, the emergency exit opened up, the one next to the screen, and light came flooding in from it, breaking the immersion, but thankfully, security eventually closed it. I think I've talked about how Joker 2 was movie hell because it was a terrible movie, and I sat through it alone in a theater. Given that I sat through a movie I loved, but had the experience ruined by the people around me, I officially discovered movie theater hell. And this was right after being reminded of movie theater heaven with The Long Walk and how cool everyone around me was, and again, the shared experience phenomenon. That being said, I refuse to back down, especially because I'm pretty sure I have to commit to at least 3 months of AMC A-list. It says something about 3 months of something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I just know that maybe I should explore the other AMCs they have in the city. I think I might be able to get to South Bay without an Uber, but also within reasonable walking distance of the Boston Common is the Causeway location, which is right next to the TD Garden for those of you who haven't been to Boston. I actually walked right by it on my way to the Museum of Science 2 weeks earlier, and what I saw of it kind of reminded me of the art house theater from the movie Whiplash, where Miles Teller's character asked out the girlfriend that he brutally dumped to focus on drumming, and then when he tried reconnecting, she had a new boyfriend, but we'll talk about that another day. Anyway, if that location ends up being a better fit, I might actually default to that if the movie I want to see is not playing in IMAX or Dolby, or at least at a convenient time, because there was a Dolby showing of The Long Walk, but it was at 10:30 p.m. and I was like, "Oh, fuck no, I'm not doing that." I am not a creature of the night, so there's that. Yeah, the Boston Common will definitely stay as my default IMAX or Dolby spot, with South Bay being a backup if something goes horribly wrong or if the Boston Common location is closed for whatever reason. Honestly, at this point, I would just take movie theater purgatory, neutral vibes, no drama, just quiet and just enjoying my movie. The main point of this all is going to see movies at the theater is always a gamble. Sometimes you're in movie theater heaven, like the shared experience of The Long Walk, seeing everyone's reactions. Well, not really seeing, noticing people's reactions to what's the most YouTube friendly way to put this? The twists, turns, and the rather graphic imagery. It was actually quite an experience seeing people or hearing people's reactions while also experiencing my own reactions of wow or oh hey or oh no or ugh. But sometimes you experience movie theater hell, as I did at the 30th anniversary re-release of Toy Story, and it wasn't because of the inherent risk of disruptive children. No, it was the adults who were the problem. They literally ruined the experience. I feel like I should have just gotten up and left at a certain point and then complained to management, explained the situation. The chatterbox is behind me. Buzzkill Lightyear. The phones, I don't like it, but it doesn't bother me as much. The chatterbox is a little more so, but Buzzkill Lightyear's attitude very much worried me, just like the guy from the South Station confrontation. I mean, that was the real reason that I was a little scared in that moment. Like, yeah, he called me a offensive word, which isn't applicable to me. Jeffy's bad word, as we referred to it in that video, and I'm going to continue referring to it here because I am not going to risk YouTube suppressing my video because I said Jeffy's bad word. But yeah, all that said, I refuse to back down. I refuse to let fear push me out of the movie theater experience entirely. But hopefully, more of my future Saturdays are like The Long Walk and less like Toy Story 30th Anniversary re release. But hey, even if it's that bad, I'll have a story to tell. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. You let me know in the comments what you think about this, whether I should have just gotten up because it was a movie I'd already seen and then accepted that it was a lost cause. Like when I bailed on the Rocky Horror Picture Show because they started way later than expected. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to also subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.